Well, happy birthday, boy. Come on up here.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jason. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
They're going to get as far away from me as possible, and who can blame them? I mean, no, oh shit. Folks, welcome to the panel.
Okay.
They're drawing straws right now.
Are you live streaming this?
Yes, it's to the whole world.
Oh, wow. The world is watching. I'm nervous. Bryce, what are you drinking here?
Just a little coffee, some espresso to start the day. Just like pump my veins full of the caffeine on an ongoing basis. Yeah, got a little bit of energy. Just a little bit.
Only way to live.
Very good. So here's the way it's going to work. If you have questions, just anytime during this, raise your hand, and we will go to the questions, and we will. Thanks. Yeah, we'll take these as we go. So, gentlemen, welcome to the panel. Thank you very much. And of course, for two of you anyway, we got to talk streaming-wise. We had a good time. And have you enjoyed the con so far? Be honest.
Oh yeah, it's been awesome.
Hello, hello.
I just like this. I like that we have these cool mics.
Oh, you're
You know what? Maybe I should.
You can move the two. There you go. Everybody can have
Not
a
at
full
all,
mic.
man.
And
I like
can take
the way that
mic.
sounded on you.
Oh
So-
yeah, this is the good one. I've actually been thinking of buying this exact mic. Anyway, let's go on.
Well, if that mic goes missing, I don't think anybody's going to know this. I'm just saying.
Now, we've met online.
Yes,
right?
we did. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
More than once. Like
A couple of times. We did the streaming last year for 2021, where
Yeah.
you sang Purple Rain. I don't know if you
That's
remember.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
Never meant to cause you any trouble. Never meant to cause you any pain. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Only wanna one time see you laughing. I only want to see you laughing in the purple rain.
Oh, is that the song?
I think that sounds really good.
That's what I said, man.
Yeah, these
you want to
mics
switch
are
back?
great, man. Why? No.
It's so warm, right?
Yeah.
It's a very warm tone. Anyway, I remember.
Thank you for remembering. Yeah, we did streaming PopCon 2020 because again there was a pandemic last year, and we had a great panel. And you had, in fact, for your sweetie, she had never heard you sing that particular song before and was quite enthralled the whole time. She's going. Totally lovely. All right, so let's. This is questions, people. Yes, with question front row. Let's have it.
So, we all know Attack on Titan is very taxing on the voice with the screaming and the intense scenes. So, what was the hardest scene for you guys to record, screaming-wise, acting-wise, any of those?
I'm sure everybody heard the question, but it's obviously it's a very action-driven, very violent kind of show. A lot of screaming, harsh on the voice. What was the toughest part, or was there one particular scene that really took its toll? Anybody?
I mean, I lost my voice, not during recording the normal series, but recording Attack on Titan Junior High. Has anyone seen Attack on Titan Junior High?
Have you seen it, please?
For you guys who have not seen it, we called it Attack on Titan Muppet Babies. So episode, who's never seen any Attack on Titan at all? Never seen, doesn't know about the show. Awesome. So,
No, so she
you guys
raised you
know,
some shade.
it's just a lighthearted comedy.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's like love it. You'll love
you know, there's like slice of life. There's a lot of cooking.
Yeah.
There's no like real heavy themes or anything.
Yeah.
And absolutely no blood. No violence.
Yeah.
So, check it out. It's good rated.
And Silence of the Lambs is a love story.
It's true.
So-
It kind of is, just depending.
So, I mean, to give you an idea, for you guys who haven't seen Junior High, episode 1, Aaron's mom is eaten in front of him, and it's raining blood, and he's screaming, and it's terrible. Episode 1 of Attack on Titan Junior High, Aaron's lunch is eaten in front of him, and he's screaming even more intensely. So there were moments in Attack on Titan Junior High that were bigger than the actual show, and in one of them where he's putting this boulder into a wall, my voice just went, ah! And just like went out, like lost it. And Mike heard that, Mike McFarlane, the director.
Like in an instant?
Yeah, it was just, it like shut off. And
That's
it's never
crazy.
done that before.
Yeah. Right.
And Mike's like, and you're done. And he just cut the session, booted me out, went home, vocal rest, came back the next day and got it done. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, wild. For me, I can't remember if it's season, like, honestly, I'll just admit right now that all the seasons of Attack on Titan, I don't know, because of I just don't know which seasons are which anymore, but when Bertolt is writing on it might be on Rhina's Titan.
Like on his shoulder?
Yeah, on his shoulder, and he's like wailing and screaming and like, you know, trying to explain himself, and that was kind of both vocally taxing and a great acting challenge. It's actually, whenever people don't know what anime is or what it means for me to be voicing anime, I will show them that scene because I'm so proud of that scene. Like, we just worked on it, we really went there. And then there's a scene later with Armin. Is it Armin? Yeah, on the rooftops, and that was a taxing scene. But again, such great. One of the things I love about the show, from an acting perspective, is it's such a challenge. Like, you just really have to like drop into these intense, dramatic places, and it's really cool. You don't always get to do that. So yeah.
Well, and that level of naturalism is not always present in what we do. So.
Yeah.
That for me, as a former theater actor, is very, very satisfying.
Yeah.
And you probably feel this as well. And I know you're equally satisfied.
I mean, for me, because I don't have that theater background, the only way I can feel those moments is to actually feel what my character's feeling at the time.
Oh yeah.
And in Attack on Titan,
That's what we do, dude. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Same.
the thing.
I'm on the right track. Yes. Yeah, it's a good sign.
No, the more truthful you can be,
Yeah.
the more truthful the performance will be.
And that
Yeah.
this show demands it. I mean,
Yeah, indeed.
You know.
And Mike, at the very beginning, wanted a very gritty sound from Aaron. Normally you get in the booth and you like rinse your mouth out with water and you try to get those like clicks and nasty sounds to go away, but I did the opposite. I just left all that in there, so if it sounds gritty, it sounds like there's blood. You know, if you hear pain, like in season 1, Aaron bites his hand so hard and he's not changing and he's just chewing on his hand. Well, I left bruises on my hand because I bit it so hard. But it sounds amazing,
Yeah.
and it was worth it. It's what the show kind of needed. So
He also kind of demands that, despite the fact that he is protective of our instruments. Ultimately,
Yes.
like being an actor himself,
Yeah.
he knows when to call it off. But man, he's gone after me about certain things like, no, dude, it needs to sound like you're vomiting blood. Like, really, like, I mean, he has said that to me, like, not for Titan.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, with Titan, with Zeke, he's very, I mean, he does want me to have a lot of gravel and texture in my voice.
Right.
And have it in the lower end of my range. But he's pretty soft-spoken outside of that.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily the taxing part. For me, it's voicing the beast. That is like, I go to an unnatural place. And then they drop it down even more in post. But yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah.
And that will hurt, ultimately, eventually.
Well, you had said that you were proud of that you were able to work on this. How patient are they with giving you the chance to fine-tune it and get exactly the cut you want?
Oh, I mean, we take as much time as is needed. I mean,
Yeah,
and it's
and really like astute directors who have been in the game for a bit, when they see what an episode is and what it might demand, they will sometimes build in extra time. Like, okay, I think with some of the Bertolt like reveal stuff, and when we finally got what he was up to, they built in some time to play and like really go there, and so yeah, they build that in sometimes.
Yeah, nice. Anyway, fantastic question. Now, I'm curious, so you bit your own hand to get the voice of someone?
I did, yeah. I left bruises on my hand, and it's kind of what it needed. And then in season 2, there's a really intense scene, and Aaron is, he's kind of unhinged, more unhinged than he had ever been before, and I literally unhinged my jaw to make it sound so just insane. But unfortunately, I bit my tongue when I was doing that. Sorry to be so graphic. It's nothing, it's a graphic show. So I was bleeding, and he was spitting blood in the next moment. So it sounded very authentic. But it's really like that level of intensity is what I was ready to bring to the show. And I'm glad Mike wanted that like veracity and that kind of emotion put into it as well. So I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't all like that. I wasn't just abusing myself in the booth the whole time.
Oh no, it doesn't sound like that at all.
There were moments, and I don't recommend for kind of up-and-coming actors to ever do anything like that.
Don't hurt yourself
Don't
for
hurt
the sake
yourself.
of a performance.
Not recommended, just kind of where I needed to get myself to be Aaron in those moments.
So kids, do not try this at home.
I feel like that's, yeah.
No, go to somebody else's house if you're going to do it.
Don't tell them you heard it from me.
Not on the run!
How about right back there? Yes, Smith.
Out of all the scenes that you guys recorded, what was your favorite?
Favorite of all your scenes?
It's such a tough question.
Yeah, it's like asking who your favorite kid is.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, my introduction to the Beast Titan was literally me eating Jason Douglas's character, who plays my brother in Dragon Ball Super. So, as much as I hated to end his tenure on the show, that was my very first scene, and it was pretty satisfying to do that. I'm like, whoa, that's Douglas's character, right? Mike's like, yep. Like, he's not coming back from that. Like, I straight up ate him. Wow. Anyway, so that's a favorite.
Yeah, I've kind of already answered. I mean, my favorite scene for in this show is the writing. Bertolt's been captured. They're trying to like manipulate him. They're using Annie against him. It's one of my favorite scenes that I've ever done, actually. So that would be
Not just in.
Yeah, not just in this, but in anime. I mean, there are a handful. I'd say, you know, I could count 10 of like ones that really stick with me, and that's one of them. So, yeah.
It's also been really, really gratifying to get some of Zeke's backstory of late, to go back to his childhood, like all the way back there. And I played him at every age too, so that was, that's pretty satisfying. Like, and I don't know, it's just so truthful in the emotional intent. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of really amazing moments and really awesome times working with the crew and Mike on this show. So it's hard to narrow it down to just one moment. I mean, I could name like a bunch of different scenes that kind of stand out in my mind. So yeah, I can't pick one.
Yeah, that would be, that's
I guess none of us
insanely
did.
difficult.
Yeah, that's what I always do. Sorry to hop out of like that question, but like it's so hard.
And you know,
So
you
hard.
invest in every moment. You have to, right? So it's like, in a way, every moment is the favorite moment because you're fully in, both feet in the deep end for everything you're doing. So they stick with you. Some stick with you more than others, but yeah, especially with a show like this, like you said, it's really truthful. It's cinematic. It's so yeah.
No, I think it's a good answer. Your favorite scene is the one you're working on right now.
It's true. I say that with characters too. It's like, you know, I love every one of my characters because you know, you kind of have to in order to, in different ways, but in order to do it.
I've heard photographers say the best camera to use is the one you have with you.
Yeah.
So kind of like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, we have a question back there. I think it's a white shirt. Yes.
So when you're doing the voice of a Titan, such as the Beast Titan, how's it decided how much of the process goes on the actor and how much goes into post? Like,
I mean, I think
That's a great question.
it depends on your personal range, and you know, some of us can go lower than others, but basically, at least in my experience, he just wants you to go as deep and as gritty as you can, and then they take it from there. And I'm not sure what percentage they drop it at that point. I think that's unique to every performer.
Yeah, that becomes like a mix engineer and director decision on the end of like, hey, how much do we want to manipulate it? Because, you know, at some point you can hear the manipulation. So it's finding a sweet spot.
And the Titans aren't all at the same pitch either. So that also, like the Beast is especially large and deep.
Yeah.
So that plays into it too. Does this answer your question?
Yeah.
I think for Aaron, like there are a lot of like big screams that might be different than the Japanese version. And I thought it was a really good choice that Mike and the engineers made to push Aaron's Titan scream kind of to this higher pitch. It's really terrifying. And I watched this show in Japanese as well, and some of Kaji-san's screams are in the lower end, but I think pushing them up higher really differentiates it from the stomping and the footsteps, which hit your subwoofers and are just terrifying too. So I thought it was a really great choice to do that, but I'm doing all of those screams, and for me, like some of them are very long and extended, and we have to be very precise on how long they are. If you scream a little too short, they can't use it. Scream a little too long, sometimes they can do something, but most of the time they're like, we missed, gotta do it again.
I think this is like a perfect conversation to illustrate the true collaboration that goes into crafting an episode or an entire series. You know, the mix engineer who comes in, now we've got all the voices, all the sounds, really plays with levels and how they want to, it really is like the last like piece of creativity that goes into the storytelling. And it's like, it's vital. And it happens with everything, film, television, you know, anything that's been recorded. I love it, and I feel like mixed engineers don't get enough, you know,
and also,
props.
I mean, again, although Mike will push you until we get what is necessary, he also, as an actor, understands our limitations and knows when, like, he cut you off that day, like, that's it, we're not going to destroy you, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's nice to have a director that's that experienced, that can take care of you, especially when you're putting that raw emotion out and really, you know, doing some big things with your voice that could damage it.
Mike is actually from a theater background and music background as well. Just FYI.
So, go ahead.
Do you get feedback directly from the audio mixer, or do you get it from the director?
Both.
So I think you're saying that you want to do as much as you can with your actual instrument.
Yes,
and you
yes.
always post, we're not afraid to do post, but you want to limit that because as you said, there comes a point when it sounds posted.
Yeah,
Yes,
it does.
yeah.
There can be, you know, artifacts and things in editing.
Well, we've all seen a movie or a scene in a movie that was just a little too much CGI.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And now it's tough because I can hear edits. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Kind of kills you, doesn't it? Great question. Do we have more questions here? Okay, how about the young lady in the front row, way over there in the cheap seats?
How does it feel to be a Titan?
Powerful.
Well, let's try this one. We'll get to that. How does it feel to have a birthday?
I feel very lucky, you know, I'm still here, right?
Once
Oh,
again.
dude.
Oh my goodness! Aw.
We each get a cake? Oh man, that's awesome. Look at that. It's a Misfits cake.
And even though we did it again,
It's a
folks,
Misfits
all
jockey
together.
cake.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jason. Happy birthday to you. Woo!
It's also coincidentally Rob's birthday, who helped with PopCon. So we're going to steal a little of your thunder again. Sorry.
No, do it.
Here we go. So here we go. Let's pop this up. Thank you, Chris.
I ordered a cake for myself too. I don't
Oh.
know what happened.
Is he
but-
on his cake?
That's great.
on his cake.
Is he on?
He's on his own cake. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Technically, he'll be eating himself.
It's like an episode of
Speaking of
Titan.
Titans,
He's been dreaming about that his whole life.
Plenty of yoga. Trying since junior high.
This is getting inappropriate. I'm taking a picture of this.
That's
This is awesome.
great.
Can I put a Todoroki sticker on there?
I mean, we should taste it, right?
We got some plates and some knives. We'll get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the caterers are on this. All right. So while we're getting the utensils,
Van Gogh's in here too. This is the Field of Crows.
I will say, oh, nice. That's awesome.
did we surprise you? Did we get you? Did we surprise you?
What's that?
Did we were able to
Oh my God!
surprise
You
you? Okay,
surprised me
good.
again.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were
Especially
afraid.
like I was kind of mid-answer, and you're like,
You
well,
know-
hey, buddy. How about this?
Well, they were.
You guys sing one more time, though. I am going to run out of
Hey, at least we sang the real song, not the one they sing like at Applebee's and stuff.
Yeah.
It's your birthday, whatever.
My least favorite is at the Mexican restaurant. That's like,
When they make you wear the sombrero.
Yeah, or they put the dirty napkin on your head. Like,
It's wonderful.
no, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you guys. They did that last night, and Bryce put a napkin on my head.
So the young,
It's great.
so the young lady whose question was interrupted by this, ridiculous birthday. Repeat your question again, and we're going to try to get to that. How does it feel to be a Titan?
Well, let me just answer, and then I'll give it over to the main folks over here. I didn't know I was a Titan for a long time, so I didn't know what it felt like. And then when I found out I was a Titan, it was in this kind of lame way where Rhina just like spit it out, and so I wanted to feel it more, but it was lame. And then my Titan got stolen from me. That's it.
Good answer. Right.
It's one of the cool things about being a voice actor. When you step into that booth, you can be anything. And I mean, Aaron and Titan Aaron are very different than I am in real life. So it's so much fun to be able to go and take on those forms. I have to think about things that kind of make me angry in real life to voice Aaron. So things like, I'm from Los Angeles, so traffic. I thought something I use quite a bit through the show. I have two dogs. They're Maltese poodles, and little white fluff balls. And I had this bag of chips I was really looking forward to eating, and those dogs, they ate my chips! So I use those things when I'm in Titan mode to make myself angry and get that emotion through, and it is so much fun to do it.
The emotion from your dogs. Okay, that's great. And Jason, you want to answer what it's like to be a Titan? What does it feel like to be a Titan?
I mean, I kind of did. It feels, like I said, my introduction was me eating my brother from another series, like just popping him in my mouth. Like, I was in shock. I'm like, seriously? He's like, yes, yes. And then I think I popped somebody's head, like another Titan's head. It was insane. And then I started talking. I'm like, can I talk? He's like, yeah, you talk too. They don't talk. He's like, yours does. It felt pretty cool. It felt very cool.
That is what it feels very cool to be a Titan. There's your answer. Good.
Yeah,
Yes, more questions here. I see, yes, right over here. Yes.
What were you guys most excited about doing for season 4, part 1?
Can you
Don't
repeat?
spoil anything for you guys. I still don't know what happens. I haven't read the manga. Don't spoil the season. Just putting it out there. But what were we excited about, or our favorite thing from the latest season?
The one that's just been on Tsunami, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just have one word answer for that, and I'll pass. Flashbacks.
Baseball. We're not giving anything away, Bryce.
Right? That's good.
They're like really, really subtle, you know?
Yeah, I'll try to be, I won't be as subtle, but Aaron's a little different. I think the word that was going through my performance, the first part of the show is anger, and now it's coldness. So he's definitely almost like reinventing the character after like 7 years, and it was so much fun to do that. Also, I got to really explore my deeper range, and I feel like I have Benjamin Button voice acting disease. Like, my voice is eternally stuck in middle school. So like, it was fun to like use my man voice a little bit.
Am I gonna be using my man voice on this project?
Will this require my man?
Yeah, you get in the booth. So, Mike, man voice today?
Yeah. No job. Tell your agent, no jobs unless it's my man voice.
I'm tired of all this boy voice. You know, that kind of describes the beginning of my tenure in dubbing for anime.
Yeah.
I played the young hero for years, and then finally I'm like, I want to play a man. Like, come on, I'm a man.
I'm waiting for my voice to change. Maybe one day I'll get out of middle school.
You mentioned that when you were talking about how your voice cracked, and when you did it, it sounded exactly like Peter Brady in that episode of the Brady Bunch, where he was, remember where they had to like change everything? Because he was talking. So maybe one day for you too, Bryce, maybe one day.
Maybe.
Are we waiting?
Probably not, maybe when I'm like 90.
Chris, they're looking around for plates. They're looking.
You knew, you read my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna make a huge mess.
I know. He's going
5.
Where's the do we have China?
Running here right now.
All right.
He's old, so you guys know.
Okay.
So
I
while
will
we're waiting
on
on
my
flatware,
expectations.
how about over here? Yes. So, are you asking how they prepared for that, or which one? Can you kind of give us the? Okay, super emotional scenes. Well, we know Bryce likes to bite his hand. You know that?
I mean, honestly, for me, it's like any other natural acting that I do. I mean, in that I pull from my life. Unfortunately, like if it's a moment where I'm grieving, I think about a moment in my life where I was grieving, and get myself to that point to where I feel like that emotional intent. Again, I've said this too many times, but it's honest. You know what I mean? It's truthful.
Right.
So
because you can, especially in voice acting, you can hear it if it's not really there. So yeah, my answer is pretty much the same. I mean, whenever I have to do something that's really emotional or has trauma or is darker, I have to find that space, you know, in my own physical body, in my own life, and then see what comes out of my mouth when I do it. So, yeah.
Do you find that when you get the script, that you kind of practice at home or in the shower or in the car or whatever, or do you kind of save that for the studio?
Get the script?
Yeah, we don't get a script.
We don't get a script ahead of time. The first time you are seeing the words that you're saying is when you're in the booth. There is no kind of table read or rehearsal or anything. And that's why you have to just kind of jump in the booth and be as honest as you can and live in that moment. That's really all you can do.
Do you prefer that, or in a perfect world would you like to do table reads and such?
If we could have done table reads, that would have been incredible. I would have loved to hang out with you guys.
No, I mean, that's the other thing. This is a relatively solitary profession, especially since the pandemic and all of us with our home studios. It's like, we don't interact at all. I mean, now we are again in this context.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's something that the Japanese do. They do it all together, and that's got to be helpful on some level.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to look somebody in the eye and,
of course,
and work off of that.
Yeah.
And get that natural time.
Then go Misfits Dark.
I know. How do you think they knew what you like?
He's just figuring that out. Oh.
No.
Happy birthday.
I think we're going to need another plate and fork here.
Yes, I know. I'm trying.
She's trying.
We were afraid it was gonna melt, and now instead it's like frozen solid.
So typically, when you do these, you're not interacting with each other in real time. Even
No, and sometimes you're the first person in, which
Just side note, is it weird that we're eating on an Attack on Titan now? Like, I've never eaten anything on any panel I've ever done, and we're eating on an Attack on Titan anyway.
Ironic or apropos? I don't know.
Yeah, you know, we don't, and it used to be too, like, I will, you know, I come from the theater, right? So, or when you do a film, Not as much with an episodic television show or whatever, but you get to read the script. You know how it ends, right? And then you build the path of the character with that knowledge. Same with a film. And that's a specific skill too. But with this, you know, we don't know what the next episode's gonna be. We never look at a word on a page until it's up on a screen. And so sometimes I will go, if I have access to an episode, I'll watch the episode because I want to see what is happening. Mostly, and I didn't used to. For the first half of my career, I never watched anything until I got in the booth. But like, sometimes because it harkens back to my theater training, I like to know like, oh, okay, this happened, so that I can then build that appropriately.
Right, you know the arc, you know where you're going.
Right, but you know, some directors don't want you to do that. So, you know, it's a different school of thought with everything.
Well, and I think there's a flip side to it. I mean, you and I have similar backgrounds in terms of our training.
Right.
But there's a part of me that thinks that it's almost advantageous to be, you know, that first take is, I mean, you have no choice. It's honest because it's happening in real time. You don't know this is coming.
Yep.
And that gives something to this that nothing else has.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's all cold.
Yep.
You've got to feel it right then and there. You've got to be in that moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I will roll during the preview. You know, we preview the scene, we watch it, and then we record it. We watch it in Japanese, and then we record it. And not always. Sometimes I really need to watch it and study. But sometimes I'll just throw out a read even during the preview. Many of the engineers will just be rolling on that read. And sometimes we take that first take when we weren't even really doing it, because it is so honest, authentic, and just right there, you know? It doesn't happen every time, but yeah.
But sometimes that is.
That's another thing, though. The engineers will get to know you just as much as the director.
Oh, yeah.
And so they know, you know, like I have a tendency, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I didn't like the way that, if it didn't come out the way it is in my head, like I'll do it again right after, or the timing's wrong, I'll do it again right after. I'll even do it a few times. So the engineer gets to know you and realizes like, okay, I'm working with this guy. One of these is gonna be great.
You train your ear, which is different than like theater or film, where you train your ear, like it comes out of your mouth and you're like, oh, that wasn't what I, and then you just do it again immediately to try and get the right read for yourself.
She did a great job.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Nice. All right, we have a question right here. Yes.
Are there any memorable outtakes that happen?
Outtakes, bloopers and such.
You know, in Attack on Titan, I have not experienced much in the way of bloopers.
Bryce probably has some.
I've had a few. So the one that really stands out in my mind was pretty fun.
I might have heard this. Go ahead.
In season one, sorry if you guys have heard this story, but I love that this happened. In season one, I had the amazing opportunity to fly. I live in Los Angeles. Funimation is in Dallas, Texas. I would fly out to Texas. I stayed with Mike McFarlane. We drive into the studio every day listening to metal music, so it's like 30 minutes of like, and then record for like 8 hours a day, like,
That's where it used to be.
and then day after day after day, I was just immersed in the show, and it was amazing. So Mike knows all the good spots to eat in Texas, and you know, they say things are bigger in Texas. I've discovered it's true. We went to a spot, well, we were recording. We get to this one scene where this pole is going through Aaron, and he lets out, of course he doesn't pull it out this way, he goes the wrong way and lets out this big giant scream. So we get there, it's about lunch. He's like, hey, let's break here and grab some food. So we go to this spot called Mooyah Burger. Do you guys have those here?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. So I got my burger. I saw sweet potato fries on the menu. And I asked Mike, you like sweet potato fries? He's like, yeah, sure. So I ordered the large sweet potato fries, which is a lunch tray and a mountain of sweet potato fries. So I finish my burger, and Mike and I destroy the mountain of sweet potato fries. So I get back to the booth, and I'm way too full. And that first take is this giant scream. So we get 3 beeps to let us know when to start. It goes beep, 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 and then you let it out. So this is what it sounded like. Beep, beep, beep. And then just silence. And I look over, and Mike and the engineer are just dying of laughter. They're both just like heads down. He's like, yeah, let's try that again. Beep, beep, beep. I physically couldn't get enough oxygen in my body to scream like Aaron because I had eaten too many sweet potato fries.
It was blocking your lungs.
Yes.
His diaphragm couldn't move
It
properly.
couldn't expand. It was just a block of sweet potato fries. So
Your body was like, no, man, I've got to deal with digesting these fries. We can't scream.
A swimming pool of sweet potato fries.
So if you want to scream like Aaron Yeager, do not eat a mountain of sweet potato fries. Good,
No.
good acting lesson that day.
Good note. Yes, right there.
Alright, what is your guys' favorite opening, the music-wise or animatic-wise?
The one I like, and I only know one lyric. Dun-dun-dun-dun, Yeager!
Yes.
That's my favorite.
I think my favorite was the first season opening.
I think that's the one.
Yeah. Because I would walk away singing that. Like, yeah.
There was a panel a long time ago, and the event happened to bring out a ton of the cast. It was like the most cast I've ever been with from Attack on Titan. And they played that opening, and we tried to sing it, and everyone on the stage, that's all they knew is, yay, guys! We all did it together.
Yes, that was so much, that was fun.
Good times.
Yeah.
I concur.
That feels like forever. Yeah. That was like 8 years ago.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
And you still don't know the lyrics.
Yeah.
I still know, yay, guys!
I didn't even know there really were lyrics till just now. But yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Were you guys recruited or auditioned for your roles?
Were they recruited or did they audition?
You know, it happens differently for every show. Sometimes based on time that the production has or that the director has, they will just, instead of going through the audition process, they'll just talk to people that they know. I think with this, Mike, I had worked with Mike before, and he approached me. It was a funny story too. This was back when people still spoke on the phone, I guess, because normally it would just be a text now.
I tried to call you yesterday. You didn't answer.
I know, I know. So he called me and he said, "Hey man, I have this role I'd like you to play," and he was like, "It's you know, it starts kind of small, but it has the potential to get bigger later on." And like, he kind of said it, and I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, rock on," but I didn't know what that meant at the time. And anyway, that's how I got there.
I had a similar experience, but I think the word was like, it's going to be pretty pivotal. Right. I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. But he also seemed like when you work with somebody a bunch of times, like I have with Mike, like you have as well. Now you have. But they get an idea of not just what kind of characters you can play, but a little bit about you personally as well. Yeah. And I think that probably goes into these decisions to an extent.
Yeah.
I know it did with My Hero as well.
It does. I mean, when Colleen cast My Hero, I mean, I think in the same as Attack on Titan, the casting is great. And I think it's because these directors not only think of us just as, what we can do talent-wise, vocal range, all of that, timbre, what our voice elicits, but just who we are as people as well.
Personality,
So, yeah.
your personal sense of style. Like, I mean, I think all of this goes into it.
I was really lucky to even get an audition for the show. I was a fan of the show as it was coming out in Japan.
Nice.
I had talked to a friend of mine about it. His name's Patrick Seitz. I'm sure you guys know Patrick.
Man, I love Patrick.
He is such an awesome guy, and I've worked with him on a number of projects, both as in the show and him directing. So I was talking to him about this show, and he received the audition from Mike. I had never met Mike before. I had never auditioned for Funimation before.
Wow.
I'm kind of the outsider from Los Angeles, and he asked Mike, "Hey, my buddy would love to read for you, if that's okay." And Mike's like, "Yeah, I'm auditioning all over the place." So he sent me the audition. I read for Aaron, Armin, and Levi. And because I understood the intensity of the show, I went out and bought soundproofing for my kind of setup that I had, so my neighbors wouldn't call the cops on me. And really, I put everything into that audition. I gave it my all. I could barely talk after just recording the audition. And I think, I can't even tell you what it was that resonated with Mike to the point that he would trust me with such an important role in the show. But something did, and I'm so happy that it did. But just got very, very lucky, I would say.
You know,
So, yeah.
that timing and luck, you know, timing and luck meeting talent and opportunity is how things happen. But I always feel like there's timing and luck involved in stuff.
I mean, especially in our realm, it's
Oh my God,
it's
yeah.
incredibly important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that opportunity really changed my life because I've made so many friends with the talent out in Dallas, like really close friends, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, okay, right here, yes.
A lot of you have been kind of overlapping in other shows with each other as voices and
Yeah.
as well as other voice actors. When you are able to get together like this, do you guys ever talk about those other shows that you both voice in? Especially since you say normally you don't get to actually even work together, even though you're both voices in those shows?
I mean, honestly, not so much. I mean, we kind of, talk about the other parts of life.
Yeah.
And just kind of let our hair down and chill out and have a good time.
Yeah, I think there's also some actors that do like really dig in deep. Like I had conversations, especially like in season 1 with like Josh Greeley, because he had watched the whole show, and we were talking about the first season. He's like, "What did you think after that about that scene after the credits?" And I'm just like, "Wait, what?" Like I had no idea until Josh had told me like something existed after the credits.
Oh, right.
Which blew my mind. But I think there's some actors that will dig into that stuff, and sometimes we're just hanging out.
I mean, like many times I'll be in doing a new role or something, and I'll hear, if someone else has recorded before me on the playback, I'll hear the English voice actor, and I'll be like, "Who's that? Who is that again?" And so we become fans of each other as well. Like, "Oh yeah, right, that's Jason," or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So then when we get together, we really get to connect on a, colleagues, friends, fellow actors kind of level, and it's great. Honestly, some of the greatest things about being in certain shows is getting to do conventions and panels like this, and getting to know other actors, and just realizing, man, these people are great people, and then going back and watching a show and hearing, who that person is in that performance, it deepens it. I'm just grateful to get to hang with people. So yeah, we talk about all kinds of stuff.
Excellent. All right, let me see. I'm trying to kind of bounce around a little bit. Way in the back, yes. Yes, this one.
Out of all the characters you guys have ever done, which shows have you guys been able to have the most fun with?
So is there a show that was more fun, more enjoyable than others? Again, picking your favorite kid, huh?
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's different kinds of fun too.
But seriously.
Nothing is right, cut and dry. There are different kinds of fun, true. So it's like, the best way to answer this for me is if I got asked this, next weekend at another panel, I might have a different answer at that time. So I can never nail down one thing. I will say that I'm doing a role right now. The first 2 episodes just dropped on Friday. It's in SSS Dynazenon, and it's a role I don't get to.
It's Dynazenon.
Oh, really?
It's like it sounds like a drug. Just think of it that way. Like side effects may include
Dynazenon. So
I'm sorry to do that to you, man.
That's not how the people have said it to me. Is all I'm saying. Yeah, no, I hear.
It is a weird word. I'm not
Dynazenon.
I'm not trying to mess with you.
Dynazenon.
Now we gotta ask her.
She says Dynazenon.
Yes, and that's the way she wants it said, right?
Yeah.
What were you talking about before I interrupted you?
Anyway, no, I get to play a role that is like, he's like a Bakugo, like screaming and, all over the place and a little edgy and not stuff that I get to do as much. I did that more early in my career. No, I'm one of the eugenicists. Yeah, pink hair, and yeah, he's awesome. His name's Onija. I love him. And
remember how a minute ago they said they never nerded out about the show? Remember that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we don't ever talk about this.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't talk about anime. No,
Bryce is
anyway.
right, fine.
So yeah, that role right now, I'm like, I can't wait to do the next step, to get to just be crazy.
I personally really like it when I get cast kind of against what is my perceived type of the moment. Like, and in that Dinah Zenon, I'm like super laid back to the point of like awkwardness.
Yeah.
And that's pretty fun. I don't know why. And then I'm in another one, Shadow's House. But I'm one of these guys that's like foppish and pouty and kind of mid-Atlantic accent, and that's super fun because it's super weird and I don't ever do that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard to just narrow it down. I mean, the real work is getting the job. So you work so hard auditioning, and when you're finally cast in something, it's like you've won something. So, it does feel like that. I always think of it as like buying lotto tickets. Like just buying as many lotto tickets as I can.
Yeah.
And sometimes your number gets called and it's like, you've won.
That's a really great way to describe it.
Yeah,
I mean, our VO agents, like, how many auditions are you throwing a week?
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's
And
it's
how many
numbers
hit,
game.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
If you do 1 out of 100,
Yeah.
you're doing extremely
It's
well.
like a baseball batting average, you know? Like,
Yeah.
if you get 3 out of 10, you're like, I know, you're like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So you work so hard to get these jobs, and it's so much fun in the booth, and I love being in the booth, so I can't pick one moment or one role, like, yeah.
That's a long answer to not really give you that much of an answer.
Fantastic.
Yes, we can talk.
We
for
can't
an hour
answer
and
that
10
question,
seconds.
but we can talk about it for a long time.
That's pretty much any question.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
Go ahead.
All your characters have pretty big alignment shift in the show. How did you guys feel about that when you first, I guess, read the way you were supposed to say?
Good. The question is about the shifting of the characters. How did you feel about that?
Well, I'll just be short, real quick.
I'll put quotes around that. I don't know for sure.
Did you say shipping?
Shift.
Shift.
Uh-oh, we won't get there.
We're not supposed to talk about
This is
that.
the one panel where we won't talk about shipping. It's good. Shifting. You know, I'm sort of sitting up here with a low level of like, that you probably can't feel, but just resentment and, because, I feel really slighted by the fact that I don't get to continue with my complicated journey. So yeah, those shifts that happened for me, I loved them. I loved when we started hearing more about what was happening, and the kind of like radicalization, if you will, of like Bertolt and Raina. But I am still kind of mad that I don't get to do it. I really am. Like I was really attached to his journey and like invested in like, what the hell, why is he doing this? And what is the answer? And I still want that answer. So I'm gonna write my own spin-off series.
Mic drop. Yeah, that's a good one.
Good solution there.
Yeah. I still don't know where my character's going, so I'm not sure yet if I like this change or not. I mean, I don't know. I was so connected with the Aaron that I've been for so long, and this is different. I mean, very, very fun and challenging to do it, but I'm not sure yet. I mean, I'll tell you whenever the show comes back and whenever it kind of wraps up, I'll be able to know. And I think I mentioned, like, I haven't guessed anything that's gonna happen. Like, any of the twists and turns, all of them, like, I got wrong. So I still don't know what's going on in the show. And I've been a part of it for a long time, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
It's really fun.
Yeah. The fact that you can say like, I still don't know what's going on. Like, I mean, you know, that's a good show.
Yeah.
Jason.
I found myself defending Zeke on social media a lot. Before his motivations were basically revealed, and felt very much validated once they were. But like Bryce, I also don't, anything could happen.
You know, there's an old acting training saying of like no villain, you never really play a villain, like no villain thinks they're a villain.
Right.
Like you can delight, like even the Joker, like the Joker delights in his villainy, but deep down he has some ideology that he's trying to like put into the world. Now, however misguided it is, so like, you know, when people come up to me and they're like, man, Bertolt's a traitor, I'm like, you don't understand what's inside of him.
If you've been through what he'd been through,
his childhood.
The villains are just misguided heroes.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I love, like...
I kind of don't feel like there are straight up villains or heroes
I agree.
in the Attack on Titan realm. I
Oh,
mean, like,
sure.
Like, it's complicated.
Which
It
is what
complicated.
makes it so brilliant, because it's like, it's nothing, it's all gray.
Yeah. Well, as is the real world.
As is the real world, indeed.
Okay, so, oh, there they are. Okay, right here, yes.
What was one of your least favorite scenes that you had to shoot?
Least favorite what?
One of your least favorite scenes.
Oh, least favorite scenes to shoot.
That's a really
That
weird
was a
question.
great question. Next question.
I've never gotten that question before.
Me either.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned, like, we work crazy hard to get these roles. Like, you're working. I don't not like paying my bills. I get to love and do something so cool, like...
And feed your children.
Feed kids, yes. I enjoy feeding my kids.
Me too.
Yeah. So I don't think that there's scenes that I'm like, I don't really like this scene. Can we just skip it? Especially in Attack on Titan, like every moment is so meaningful and driving the story forward. Like every little moment is pretty special in the show.
I will say that being repeatedly cut into pieces and blown up is not, like, I have said to Mike before, like, again? Seriously? Like, I know I heal, but man, seriously? It's like, yep, again. Anyway.
Yeah, no, there are scenes that are more challenging for a multitude of different reasons, but they're never like, oh my God, I wish I wasn't doing this. You know, it's never that. Some of the challenging ones are actually, the most, beneficial or end up being like something you're really proud of.
Okay. Well, all right, let me see, there were some other, okay, go ahead.
So this kind of goes back a couple questions, but you said that you will sometimes hear the other voice actors before you get to voice.
Mm-hmm.
When you're cast in something, with your theater backgrounds, there's usually like a cast list. Is that something that you get with the animes, or is it something where you hear them and you're like, oh, they're in this also? Like, do you find out?
Yeah, sometimes you'll find out just peripherally who's in something, but sometimes it's when the company makes a press release, you'll find out, oh, cool, these people are in it. And sometimes you find out when you're in the booth. Yeah.
I didn't know you were that dude, by the way.
What dude?
Dinosaur.
Oh, you didn't?
I love when that happens. I love when you're in the booth and you're like, oh, that sounds so good. Who is that? Yeah. And you're just like surprised by like how awesome your friend is like performing. Like it's always cool.
It is awesome. Yeah.
Folks, the old cuckoo clock on the wall says we're out of time. Please give our Titans a big round. Wonderful.
Yeah, this is great. And if you didn't get to ask your question, like, please come up to our tables, hang out, talk to us. Like, excited to meet you guys.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And thanks for the songs, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys.
Welcome back.